In example 2, much of the same is going on here because same basic layout. The only difference is this time, as you can see the way it's drawn, the bottom is a perfect square because the one side says 8 feet and the other side says 8 feet. But other than that, it's the exact same thing that we just did. Start with B. B again is the area of the base, so length times the width. Well, they're both 8, so that's 8 times 8, or 64. All right. Next thing always says plus 1/2, so that's taken care of. Now, next component of the formula is P. P is the perimeter of the base. That's when you add up the 4 sides. Well, in this case, they're all 8. So we've got 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, and that's going to give me 32. And then the last thing there is L, the slant height. Again, the height up the face, the number we haven't touched yet. So in this case, that's going to be 12. All right, so a little bit of work to figure out here. Here we've got half of 32, or in other words, 16. And 16 times 12 is going to give me 192. I've got to add the 64 that's in front to it. And when I add those together, 192 and 64 are going to make 256. And that'll be feet squared. How do you find which?
192.
192. I did half of 32 times 12. All right, now in example 3, again, as I told you, the base tends to not be a 4-sided figure. They're going to give you more information. And as you can see in this one, they gave us B. So that's one less thing I'm going to have to figure out. We already know that B in this formula is going to be 27.7. Now the other piece of information they give us is that the pyramid is regular. Now what does that mean? Regular, in case you've forgotten, means refers to a shape where all the sides have the same length and all the angles have the same measure. And in that we would be talking about the base here. The base would be regular. All right. As you can see, looking at the base they've drawn it, we don't have how long this back side is. But we know it's regular. So we know in truth that all the sides have to be the same. So they're in actuality all 8, which will make it much easier for us to find P. Okay, so we go into the formula here. Again, B is 27.7 because they gave it to us. The next part, plus 1/2, nothing I can do there. P is the perimeter of the base. Again, we said this triangle is regular because it says so right here. So they're all 8. 8, 8, and 8 is going to give me 24 for a perimeter. And then the last thing is L, the slant height. Again, that's the distance up the face. That's going to be this number I haven't used here, 6. All right, so I've got half of 24 times 6, which needs to be figured out over here. So that's the same thing as 3 times 24, or 72. Add to it this 27.7 that's out in front. When I add those two together, I get 99.7. Does that look right? It's right. 99.7, that would be meters squared. All right, now we're into the cone problem. Now, there's not much I can do with the cone to try and make it any more difficult than it is. I will tell you that it could come up, I'm guessing it does, I don't know, I haven't looked, that they could give you the diameter instead of the radius. Of course, the diameter is from edge to edge of the circle. The radius is from the center to the edge. Other than that, there's not much I can do here to make this any more complicated than it already is. Right. Formula is already written there for you, pi r squared plus pi rl. Right. Again, this is that type of problem where you're basically going to figure out the numbers, throw them in a calculator. So, taking a look at example 4 here. As you can see, the radius is 6 centimeters, the slant height is 12 centimeters. That's all I need. So it starts with pi, 3.14, times the radius squared, 6 squared, plus pi, 3.14, times the radius, which is 6, times the slant height, again, height up the side, which is going to be 12. All right. So, on this left side, a little bit to figure out here. 3.14 times 6 squared, that's 3.14 times 36. And 3.14 times 36, why do I want to say that's 113.04? That's because it is 113.04. On the right side, you've got 3.14 times 6 times 12. That's going to make 226.08. Add those two together, you come up with 339.12. That would be centimeters squared. Again, this is heavily, heavily, heavily just a calculator thing. Not much else you can do with this. All right, example 5, more of the same. Radius, as you can see, is 4 meters. Slant height is 9 meters. Okay, so we've got pi 0.14 times the radius squared, which is 4 squared or 16, plus pi 0.14 times the radius 4 times the slant height 9. 3.14 times 16 is 50.24. 3.14 times 36 on the right side is 113.04, as it was over there. We add those up, and that's going to give me 163.28 meters squared.